Your brand may be staying on top of current trends, but are you agile enough to stay relevant, resilient, and successful as customers, competition, and the world continues to change at a breakneck pace? I'm thrilled to share the newly revised version of my first book, The Agile Brand. I'm calling it The Agile Brand Revisited. It's been updated to reflect our continually changing world, and it provides 7 principles that form the backbone of an agile brand, offering detailed insights and actionable steps for incorporating them into your business strategy. This is the book that started it all, and I'm excited to share it with you. It's now available in print and digital formats and available everywhere. Learn more by going to the Agile Brand Guide website at www.agilebrandguide.com. Welcome to Season 5 of The Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom, where we talk with enterprise and technology platform leaders about the people, processes, and platforms that make marketing and customer experience successful, scalable, and sustainable. This is what creates an agile brand. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom, advisor and consultant for Fortune 1000 marketing and CX leaders and teams as principal and chief strategist at GK5A, and best-selling author, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and agile certified coach. The Agile Brand podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. To sign up for the Agile Brand newsletter and get the latest insights and articles on marketing technology and CX, or to purchase a copy of my latest book, House of the Customer, go to gregkihlstrom.com. You can also find all my books on Amazon and other retailers. And now on to the show. Today we're going to talk about scaling a professional services agency in a way that maintains customer experience and stellar results. To help me discuss this topic, I'd like to welcome Jamie Adams, Chief Revenue Officer at Scorpion. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really excited about it, Greg.
Yeah, looking forward to talking about this with you. So why don't we get started by you giving a little background on yourself and what you're currently doing at Scorpion?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jamie Adams. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer, so I lead our sales, business development, and our marketing team here at Scorpion. I've been with the company about 9 years. Previous to that, spent another almost 8 years at another kind of early on digital marketing agency that was focused on working with local businesses and helping them kind of transition from advertising in the yellow pages and local publications into moving some of that effort on online on digital. So I've been in the digital marketing space now for almost 2 decades, which feels scary to say. But personal wise, live in Dallas, Texas, from Louisiana. And just have been really excited to be a big part of Scorpion's growth over the last almost decade or so.
Yeah, that's great. So Scorpion works with, sounds like several types of businesses. So things like home services, healthcare, law firms, franchise brands, and others. These types of businesses have unique challenges, but there's most likely some commonality. So I wanted to talk about that part first. So what are, that is quite a wide ranging list of types of companies. What are the common challenges that your customers have?
Yeah, great question. Yeah. So we see ourselves very much, our niche, if you will, is local service-based businesses. And, the size can vary, right? So we work with local independent businesses that may be doing just a few $100,000 in revenue annually, all the way to large healthcare organizations, like big hospital systems, for instance, that are doing, into the billions of dollars in revenue annually. But the common denominator is that for the overwhelming majority of our businesses, I kind of refer to them as they're kind of in the oh no or oh crap categories, meaning that you don't really think about them until you have a specific need, right? Yeah. So if you think about some of the ones you rattled off, attorneys, right? Like as a consumer, I don't really have a need for an attorney until probably something has happened in my life that's probably not very desirable. Same with the plumbing business. Same with, hey, I need to get my teeth cleaned. I need a dentist. I've got an emergency healthcare issue. I need to go to the hospital, or I need to find someone who can do some type of specialty care. So I think the common thread is that again, they're local service-based businesses of varying sizes, but the common thread is that the majority of our customers are really not the businesses that you think about buying from until you as a consumer have some need that you weren't expecting and candidly and oftentimes didn't really care to have, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the common thread.
Yeah. So how does Scorpion help those companies meet some of their challenges?
Yeah, we see ourselves today as a company that provides both marketing technology and marketing services to help businesses, attract, acquire, and convert more leads, if you will, to customers. And for us, I think one of the things that's quite interesting about the spectrum of customers that we support today, the businesses that we support, is that again their customers' journey, if you will, is fairly similar, right? So I don't really think about, let's just say that today in the life of Jamie Adams, not professionally but personally, let's say that that I had a scenario with one of my parents, and there was a need for me to maybe expedite some type of estate planning situation for my parents, maybe because they fell ill or something. So all of a sudden, yesterday I had no thought about needing a probate and estate attorney, but today something happened in my life where I said, I need a probate and estate attorney. Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm probably going to turn to a search engine or maybe my social network and ask a question. Hey, does anybody, or can you recommend a good probate and estate attorney? Or go to Google and say, hey, I need a probate and estate attorney near me in Dallas, Texas. And then I'll kind of go through a research process where I'll maybe visit a few websites. I'll check out some online reviews. Maybe I'll go to my social network and see if anyone has experience with some of the firms that I found. And then eventually I'll land at a website, and maybe I'll call a few, or I'll try to schedule a consultation on their website, although not many attorneys have that availability today. But I'll call some, and I'll get a feel, and I'll go have a consultation. And maybe at the same time, right, as I'm doing this, maybe all of a sudden my HVAC unit, it's starting to get really warm in Dallas. It's 90 degrees today, right? So maybe my HVAC unit stops working, right? And I'm going to go through that same consumer journey that I just talked about as I look for a probate and estate attorney. So I think one of the things that we've done a pretty good job of is like mapping the consumer journey for the types of businesses that we work with, and that's kind of where we get our scale, right? Is that we can create different solutions, different processes internally to help facilitate our customers' customer journey, so that they get more eyeballs on their business relative to their competition, and they're posting the right information about their business through their website, through social channels, through online reviews, to help them convert someone who has a need for what they do into an actual lead and eventually a customer.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's really about being visible, being present, and I would imagine having a good process to respond to those leads, because to your point, some of the customers, probably they've never needed a lawyer or to do that specific thing, or have a health issue, or whatever else they might need done. So it needs to be timely. They need to be wherever their customers are. And so yeah, that's an interesting way of tying those businesses together. And so, to talk about the scaling part that you mentioned as well. So, I guess there's two aspects of that piece. One is scaling of your ability to serve customers, and then the other is how the companies that hire you are able to scale as well. So, how much of the work that you do, how much is like templatized versus, unique to the need or your customer and stuff like that? Like, how do you find that right balance, knowing that, well, a lot of the customer need and journey is different, with some details change, obviously, for a law firm versus a, healthcare or something else. But, how do you work to find that right balance, just so everybody can scale in the right way?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really great question. I think from a scale perspective, when you say things templatized, I think first about how we organize our teams and our people. And we do that very vertically focused, right? So we've got segments of our sales team, of our kind of customer onboarding team, and our customer success team who only, for instance, work with home service businesses. And then we've got another group who only really work with professional services, which today most of those professional service businesses are attorneys, like law firms. Then we've got a segment that works with healthcare, and then we've got a segment that works with franchise, right? So from a template perspective, I think one of the things that type of alignment organization does, is it helps us align around some of the uniqueness of each of those different vertical categories, right? Because a plumber in Dallas, Texas is going to have, large in part, some of the same challenges that a plumber in New York City does, right? So there'll be some nuance, but I would say it's 80-20, right? 80% of it's very consistent, 20% maybe you've got geographical nuance and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So that the team alignment or the team organization is certainly something that I would say is a little bit of a template and a blueprint. Other areas and categories, our approach. We actually believe that for the verticals that we work within, you hear a lot today and here we are in 2023, and you hear a lot about websites, and websites are really just a commodity and they're not very important. We actually believe that to be not the case. We actually believe that for our vertical segments, like the website is extremely important in influencing a consumer's decision to buy from you versus go someplace else. And if you think about it, again, so much of the businesses that we work with are businesses that the customer does not want to have to buy from in the first place, right? So when they land on your website, that's like the one property online that you have 100% control over in terms of how it represents your business. So we actually place a big emphasis on things like website design, selling points or calls to action, content on your website that clearly kind of differentiates why someone would consider buying from you versus somebody else. So the way that we think about approaching website design and development, there are some frameworks that we use by vertical that we've just seen work better than others. So that's another area that's fairly frameworked and templatized to an extent. Again, just from kind of the elements of a website where certain calls to action are placed. And then, I think the other thing that I would just call out as being a little bit templatized would be just the kind of KPIs by industry, right? So we understand what to look like in terms of what website traffic should look like, what your average website visitor to contact should look like. If you're running advertising with us on platforms like Google and Facebook, what your cost per lead and cost per impression should look like. So we can scale, how we monitor performance of our customers just by kind of baselining individual business performance relative to those KPIs. So those are the areas I think that are templatized. And then, of course, at the end of the day, you're dealing with human beings, and not just human beings. In our instance, you're dealing with, in a lot of cases, small business owners, because a big segment of our customer base are small businesses, right? And anytime you're dealing with people, particularly small business owners, right? These are people that they've got a lot on the line, right? A lot of times they've invested their, life's work, right? Their entire savings to own and operate their business, support their families, support their small workforce. So the things that aren't templatized, right, are just how you build relationships and how you build trust with those types of business owners in a way that makes them truly believe and feel like you're on their side, like you're on their team, and that you're trying to drive results that help them grow their business, and they can continue to scale. And I know that was a very long-winded answer to a pretty simple question, but I think where you left that question was, how do our customers scale and how do we think about that? Yeah. And I would say that that's probably the biggest driver for us internally, and part of our why is, we actually want to help our customers run their best business. And when they do that, they're able to grow revenue. They're able to expand their business, hire more people, do things like send their kids to college, go on great family vacations. Those are the things that really keep us fueled, if you will, and get us fired up, is when we get notes from our customers that talk to us about the impact that we've made in enabling them to scale and grow and continue to expand like I just described.
Before we continue, let's take a quick break. If you're like many marketing leaders today, you're inundated with a need to improve the customer experience across an increasing number of channels and touch points, all while ensuring your team is performing well, innovating, and continuously improving. So how do you find the time to determine what's next for you, your team, your brand, and your customers? My company, GK5A, can help. Whether it is advisory services, evaluation of marketing technology platforms and solutions, or digital agencies and implementation partners, or assistance with creating strategic roadmaps and prioritization of efforts, we've done it all and served as an ally to Fortune 1000 brands in industries like financial services, healthcare, consumer electronics, professional services, and more. You can learn more about these services and contact us at www.gk5a. That's www.gk5a.com. Now let's get back to the show. I feel like maybe sometimes the word template gets a bad rap, even as far as, another way of looking at this is.
No, you're right. It does.
Yeah. I mean, how do you, I look at it being, doing a lot in like marketing operations and stuff like that for companies. I look at it as also operationalizing this stuff. I mean, I think the amazing part of this is, a small business only has so much budget to invest in their marketing and in researching the best practices to do. And so, when you leverage an organization, to use as an example, when you leverage an organization like Scorpion, you're leveraging a company that is working across not only industries, but across your industry. And that, that quote unquote templatization is actually to your benefit, right? Because it's been like battle tested and and improved over time. And wow, now I sound like I'm doing a sales pitch for Scorpion, but you know what I mean. It's like I see it as operationalizing things in a meaningful way, where again, a one-off, a one office or couple office company can actually operate at the maturity of a much larger organization. I mean, would you say that's true?
Yeah, and I appreciate the attempt at a sales pitch. If you're interested,
Right.
we can set up some type of affiliate or referral deal. But no, I mean, I think that's a great call out. I mean, I think that is a big benefit, right? I think that we understand the psychology of the consumer in needs-based verticals like the ones that we support today quite well. And I think, when you work with, in our case, we've been operating as an organization for over 20 years now. So when you couple, 20 years of experience, really, really hyper focused on, just a handful of verticals, I think there's just a ton of knowledge that is gained that we can put to work for the businesses that we want to support in this capacity. So I think it's a great call out. And look, I mean, I think the other, on the flip side of that, we don't want to just run our business off of quote unquote templates in the sense of, hey, here's the same website that we're going to build for plumber A, and now we're at plumber Z, and they just get a slightly different variation of the same website.
Right.
When we think about templates, that's not really what we're thinking about, right? So we actually want to avoid things of that nature.
Yeah.
But we certainly want to leverage the knowledge both from being in business as long as we have, and then also just the knowledge we've got from the customer base that we work with to continue to improve the outcomes and results we get for other businesses that we take on in those same vertical segments.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, so last topic I wanted to talk about today was just the growth of Scorpion itself and how you and the team have been able to not only achieve that growth, but also maintain great customer experience and results in the process. I mean, I can speak firsthand. I mean, I didn't grow my agency as large as this, but it's difficult to maintain those things as you grow. And having run a marketing agency and scaled over the years, and staffing and best practices and industry shifts and all that stuff, there's a lot of stuff going on. So Scorpion grew from roughly 20 million to closing in on 200 million in revenue in just 7 years. So it's a lot in a relatively short amount of time for the type of organization you are. So what would you say some of the biggest contributors to that growth have been?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a few. One, I mean, I actually do feel quite strongly that we are very very hyper focused on helping as many businesses as we can possibly help. I mean, the number that we throw around internally is we want to work with and support 100,000 customers. We're not anywhere close to that, but I think that that's kind of where our eyes are always set on, just from like a metrics perspective. I also think that we've just, as we've grown and scaled, we've hired really great people who are really passionate about helping the businesses that we work with, and I think that we operate very much from a perspective of, I use the word internally sometimes, customer intimacy. Like, we really want to make our customers feel at scale, by the way, which is quite difficult, but make our customers feel like we're actually in it with them, and that we are doing things on their behalf to help them grow their business. And look, I mean, we're certainly not perfect about it. I mean, I've seen, plenty of opportunities where we can dramatically improve. But I would say that that's our North Star, if you will, is just always kind of eye on how can we help better support our customers. And I think that mindset, that, I mean, I don't like, I think sometimes these cliches like start with why, I kind of feel like are overused, but I really do believe that our why is like we want to help small businesses and local businesses succeed. So I think that that's gone a long way certainly from a retention perspective. And then I think from a growth perspective, I mean, I think that we've done a pretty fantastic job to this point, on identifying areas where we can expand. One of the things that we've done a pretty fantastic job of over the last several years is looking at, where there were potential, green fields that were, somewhat congruent to how we were running and growing the business before. And probably the best example of that was franchise.
Yeah.
The way that we think about franchise is, we historically had worked with a lot of independent local businesses, and then franchise organizations, right? They're really just the same brand of a lot of local businesses, right? So, we thought about, well, what is in our product suite or our service suite that we do a great job of today, and that was supporting local businesses through digital marketing. How can we take that and how can we go scale that up to a brand that has, several hundred locations that are part of their brand but are owned by local business owners? And if you think about, just how that impacted our growth trajectory, 7 years ago we had zero franchise customers, and you fast forward to today, we now work with over 100 different franchise brands. And within that 100 brands, they're represented by over 10,000 or so franchisee locations. And, so we've deployed our solution in a way that is efficient for the brand, so that they can actually come in and they can buy part of our Scorpion solution for all their franchisees. And then, from that point on, we've got a relationship with the brand, we've got a relationship with the local franchisee owner, and then we can go expand our services and our solutions through that network of franchisees by educating them on other things that they can do with Scorpion now that the brand has brought us in. And that's been a big contributor to our growth as well. So I think that we're really, really proud of, again, how we've noticed and opportunities to move from certain vertical segments where we had a pretty good market share, and then deploy some of those same solutions to other verticals, and in the case of franchise, and to verticals that also give us scale by way of capturing lots of businesses through kind of one contractual obligation, if you will, at the brand level.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really smart approach. And then, you mentioned the way that you're able to kind of expand some of your service offerings to, once you get established, and things like that. So a lot of what you focus on is understandably on, quantifiable things, driving leads, customer loyalty, things like that. How much would you say also involves teaching your customers about the value of the customer experience in order to drive some of that loyalty and that lifetime value?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's probably been the biggest variable in success for local businesses the last couple of years, and it's only getting more critical, right? I mean, I remember a time when digital marketing and advertising for local businesses was kind of catching wind, and just the companies that had a presence there, like if you were buying ads on Google, right, you were going to get more business than your competitor down the street. Well, now, with things like, man, everything from online reviews and how much those influence people's purchasing decision, to even apps, right? You think about the buying experience of the things you do every day in your life, right? Amazon, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Instacart, right? All of these things that have like made what used to be considered, I guess, conveniences that are now inconveniences, like going to the store or going to restaurants, right? Because I can just pull out my phone and I can just have instant access to those things. Well, that mentality is carrying over to your less common purchases, like the businesses that we work with, right? So when we think about customer experience, we think about, and we try to educate our customers on, hey, it's not really about what's convenient for you. It's about what your consumer wants, right? So what are some of those things? Well, I would argue that as a consumer, when I have a plumbing issue, I'd rather just go to their website, pick a time that's available, and schedule an appointment directly from their website. I don't want to call. I don't want to deal with submitting some type of email or form and waiting for somebody to come back. I want to see what their availability is, and I want to book right then and there. So I think online scheduling is really, really critical for local businesses that we work with today. And I think the other is just, being available not just through the phone or email, but can I text somebody in real time? Do they have some type of AI driven chat or managed chat on there where I can get real time interaction that doesn't involve me picking up the phone and talking to somebody? So, I mean, I think, just meeting your consumer the way that they want to interact with you and giving them those channels, and then making it really, really easy for them to find out the information that they need to find out about, and then book a service online. Those are areas where I think we're really focused on helping our customers enhance their customer experience.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Jamie, thanks so much for joining the show. I've got one last question before we wrap up here. So if somebody wanted to take action on this today, what's a piece of advice you'd have for maybe a potential customer of yours that, they know they need to drive more revenue, they need to take some action, do better marketing, things like that, but maybe not sure where to start? What would your advice be?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in any of the vertical segments that I mentioned, you're a local business and you're trying to attract customers locally from your market. I mean, I would say that the jumping off points that you can do yourself are just make sure that you've got a Google business profile that is completely built out that represents your business. It's free. It's a simple tool. You can, just search on YouTube or Google, how to set up my Google business profile, and you can find out plenty of tutorials about that. So I would say, number one, do that. Number two would be, hey, create a good cadence of asking people to check you out on different review sites, right? So check out your Google profile, your Yelp profile, your Facebook profile, influence people to learn about you there, to maybe leave reviews for you there. And then the third would be, just the blocking and tackling of providing great customer experience, right? Like as a business, if you do the things that I just described, Google profile, getting reviews, if you do those things, your phone's going to ring. People are going to try to reach out to you. Just make sure that you've got great processes for answering the phone, responding to emails really, really quickly, and just providing good blocking and tackling experience. Those things should get you enough business to start where you can start saving and putting back and then investing in more, I guess, more advanced, marketing strategies, advertising investments, things of that nature.
That's great. Well, again, I'd like to thank Jamie Adams, Chief Revenue Officer at Scorpion, for joining the show. You can learn more about Jamie and Scorpion by following the links in the show notes. Thanks again for listening to the Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom podcast, brought to you by TEKsystems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe on your podcast channel of choice and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.gregkihlstrom.com. That's GREGKIHLSTROM.com. To get a copy of my latest book, House of the Customer, visit my website, or you can find it on Amazon or other retailers. The Agile Brand is produced by Missing Link, a Latina-owned, strategy-driven, creatively fueled production co-op. From ideation to creation, they craft human connections through intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Until next time, stay agile.